I saw my stepson struggling with something, and I couldn't just ignore it. It started with small things. He was quieter than usual, avoiding eye contact, and spending hours locked in his room. It wasn't like him at all. I've been his stepmother for a few years now, but we've never really connected. My husband is always busy with work, and the distance between us has grown cold. The stepson, well, he's never been easy to reach, especially after his mother left years ago. But this time, something felt different, heavier. One evening, I noticed his door was slightly ajar, and there was a faint sound, almost a whisper of distress. I hesitated, not wanting to invade his privacy, but I knocked softly and asked if he was okay. After a long pause, he let me in. He sat on the edge of his bed, shoulders slumped, eyes red from holding back tears. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I sat beside him, careful not to crowd his space. When I finally asked what was wrong, his voice cracked as he confessed how overwhelmed he felt, school pressure, feeling invisible, and the loneliness that gnawed at him daily. Hearing that made my heart ache in a way I didn't expect. I reached out and gently touched his arm, trying to offer some comfort. It was a small gesture, but the way he stiffened under my touch caught me off guard. For a second, there was an awkward tension I didn't understand. I pulled back quickly and apologized if I made him uncomfortable. He looked away, but I could see something unspoken in his eyes. Confusion, maybe, or something deeper. I tried to convince myself it was nothing more than a moment of vulnerability. Still, as I left his room that night, I found myself thinking about how fragile he seemed. It wasn't just about being a stepmother anymore. It was about wanting to protect someone who felt lost. I wondered if I had crossed a line by getting too close. But the truth was, I needed him to know he wasn't alone, even if I didn't know how to help him fully. Over the next few days, I made a point of checking in with him, offering little things, his favorite snacks, a quiet smile, when our eyes met. He seemed to appreciate it, though he didn't say much. I could tell he was still struggling, and it made me feel responsible in a way I hadn't expected. Our home was supposed to be a safe place, but it felt anything but that for him. And somehow, I was becoming the only person who noticed. This new closeness unsettled me more than I wanted to admit. There was a part of me that felt a strange warmth when he looked at me, a silent plea in his eyes that I wasn't sure I wanted to answer. It wasn't just motherly concern anymore, it was complicated. But I told myself to stay professional, to keep boundaries clear. For now, I would just be there for him, even if it meant sitting quietly in his room, sharing his silence. Because if I didn't, who would? I started spending more time with him, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I had to. One evening, I brought him dinner in his room. He looked up and gave me a small smile, the first real one in days. I sat down beside him, and he let me help with a project he was struggling with. We talked quietly, and for a moment, the tension seemed to ease. His laughter was rare but genuine, and when our hands accidentally brushed, it wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. That night, as the rain fell outside, he confided in me that he felt invisible to everyone but me. I reached out and gently brushed a stray hair from his forehead. The moment lingered longer than it should have. I pulled back quickly, telling myself it was just a mother's instinct. But the way he looked at me, there was something more. I tried to keep my distance, but he kept finding reasons to be near me. One night, I found him shirtless, working out in his room. I quickly turned away, but I couldn't ignore the way my heart raced. We sat by the fireplace later, the dim light casting shadows on his face. He placed his hand on mine, and I didn't move away. His voice was low and earnest when he said, "You're the only one who really listens. I don't want to lose you." My mind screamed to stop it, but my body betrayed me. I stood up abruptly, murmured an excuse, and left. That moment stayed with me. I knew it was wrong, but it felt like the only connection I had in months. Every time I tried to pull away, he drew closer. The lines between caring and something forbidden blurred until I wasn't sure where one ended and the other began. The tension between us was electric, and it scared me. But I couldn't deny how alive it made me feel, even if only for a fleeting moment. Avoiding him became impossible. The tension between us grew unbearable, especially with my husband away on a business trip. I tried to keep my distance, telling myself this was a boundary I couldn't cross, but every interaction felt charged with something unspoken. One evening, I found him sitting alone, watching a movie. He offered me a glass of wine, and I accepted, the quiet between us heavy but familiar. We talked more openly than ever before, the walls I had built slowly crumbling. The music played softly in the background as he turned to me and said, "I know this is wrong, but I can't stop thinking about you." My heart pounded. I told him we couldn't, that it was dangerous and forbidden. Yet when he moved closer and asked me to stop him, I stayed silent. The moment stretched between us until he leaned in and kissed me. It was hesitant at first, then desperate, full of the longing we had both been hiding. Everything else faded away. The boundaries we had tried to maintain shattered in that single instant. The kiss deepened, hands searching, breaths mingling, the mix of guilt and desire overwhelming. I knew what we were doing was wrong, but it felt like escape, a fragile connection in the middle of loneliness and confusion. Afterwards, silence settled between us, heavy and suffocating. I whispered, "This can't happen again. No one must know." He nodded, but the sadness in his eyes said he wanted more. I left his room with my mind racing, heart aching, and a terrible sense of loss already creeping in. What had started as helping a struggling stepson had become something far darker, something I feared would destroy everything. The days after that night were unbearable. I tried to avoid him, but the guilt followed me like a shadow. Our interactions became strained, filled with unspoken words and heavy silences. My husband noticed the change. He asked if something was wrong, but I deflected, afraid to confess what I'd done. The stepson grew distant again, his eyes haunted by the secret we shared. Then, everything unraveled. My husband found a message on my phone, vague, but suspicious enough. When he confronted me, I lied at first, desperate to protect what little was left of our family. But the stepson couldn't hold it inside. He confessed everything: the late nights, the stolen moments, the kiss that broke us. The truth hit us all like a storm. My husband's face twisted in disbelief and hurt. He left, leaving a void I didn't know how to fill. I was left alone, drowning in regret and self-loathing. I asked myself if I was a monster or just a woman who made one mistake too many. The family we once were was shattered beyond repair. I saw my stepson once after that, standing across the street. Our eyes met, heavy with pain and unspoken apologies. Neither of us spoke. He turned and walked away, leaving me with the weight of everything I'd lost. Some boundaries, once crossed, never let you return.